My name is Hannah, and this is my beauty budget. Hey y'all, so in today's video, I'm going to do my best to answer a question that has been asked of me with increasing frequency as the new year has drawn nigh. And that is the question, should I do a no-buy year or a budget? Hannah, the masses are crying. Should I do a budget or a no-buy year? You've done both a no-buy year and a budget. Which one do you think is better? Which one do you think is for me? And I do have answers, I do have feelings in response to this question, but it's kind of too complicated and predicated on too many things for me to be able to just quickly answer in a comment. It's not as simple as me just being like, oh, a no-buy is better than a budget or a budget is better than a no-buy. I can't do that. What I can do is to make a whole video and try to explain everything to you, and that's what this is going to be. So let's go ahead and get into the meat of the video. If you're out there consuming my content and thinking about doing a no-buy or wondering if a no-buy is for you, then you've probably already watched my video from the end of last year. It was something that I filmed during my actual no-buy year, and it's the video called Should You Do a No-Buy Year? It also has a sister video called How to Do a No-Buy Year. If you're out there thinking about a no-buy or wondering if a no-buy is for you, then I really recommend watching those videos or watching them again if you watched them already, or maybe you watched them when they first came out last year, but you didn't do a no-buy this past year and you're thinking about doing one for 2020. I will link them down below right at the top of the description box, so they'll be super easy to access. You can just click right through to them and watch them. So when I filmed the video called Should You Do a No-Buy Year? I framed the video by talking explicitly about all of the issues that I had before my no-buy year. That was how I structured it. So I said in that video, I was afraid of looking at my finances. The mall was my happy place. I just talked about myself, and then I left it up to you to decide if you are in a similar position to the position that I was in before my no-buy year, and to extrapolate from that whether or not a no-buy year would be appropriate for you. It was a very kind of 3 steps removed way of helping you answer the question of whether or not you should do a no-buy year. For this video, I decided to reframe those questions, and I think I might have added another question. I decided to reframe them a little bit more aggressively, just because I know that there are some people for whom the roundabout way that I framed everything in that first video might not be as effective. So here's a list of questions for you, about you, that's more direct. If it feels a little bit icky to you to hear me asking these questions of you, then go back and watch the other video because it's gentler in most ways. It's gentler in most ways. So here we go. Questions 1 through 8 to help you decide whether or not you should do a no-buy year. 1. Are you spending a significant amount of your income on non-necessities, even though you have loan debt, credit card debt, and or no savings? If you have loan debt, credit card debt, or if you don't have debt but you have no savings at all, and you're spending a significant amount of your income on non-necessities, is that true of you? Yes or no? Question number 2, do you buy things without really considering their value or their cost per use? So are you looking at the ounces compared to the dollars when you buy a bottle of skincare? Or are you just thinking, oh, this is a bottle and it's worth the $40 price tag that they're charging for it? Cost per use and value. How in tune are you with those things? Question number 3, are you afraid of your own finances? Do you get a chill of fear down your spine every time you log into your bank account? Do you avoid actually checking up on how much money is in there? Do you dislike knowing? Do you feel about looking at your bank statement the way I feel about going to the doctor, which is that you would really rather not know? Are you afraid of your own finances? Question number 4, this was a big one for me, one of the most important ones. Do you buy things to experience a temporary feeling of prosperity? Do you feel bad about not being prosperous? Do you feel worried that you'll never be as prosperous as you want to be? And is your way of temporarily fixing that to buy things that you would buy if you were prosperous? Like you buy an expensive eyeshadow palette and it makes you feel like you're richer than you are. Are you doing that? Question number 5, is shopping your main form of recreation? If this is true, it might be hard to admit. It was really hard for me to admit. I hated this about myself. It's still hard for me to admit on the internet that this used to be true. Question number 6, do you have stuff in your house that you've forgotten about, especially if it's the stuff in the exact categories that you tend to overbuy? Do you have an online shopping list with something in it like sweaters at the same time as there are sweaters in your house that you've forgotten about? Or lipsticks? Are you considering buying a lipstick when there are lipsticks in your house that you've forgotten about? Is there stuff in your house that you've forgotten about? Question number 7, this is another big one for me personally. Are you always looking for something to want? Does your life feel unexciting when you're not in the middle of wanting something? Is that state of desire your preferred state? Question number 8, do you panic when something that you kind of wanted sells out or becomes unavailable? Do you then go down the rabbit hole of trying to find it on eBay or putting shopping tag alerts or something on it? Do you feel this sense of like overwhelming, catastrophic spiraling downward when you realize that there's something that you kind of wanted and it's no longer within your grasp? So those are the 8 questions. If you answered yes to most or all of those questions, or even just a couple of key questions there, then you might be realizing that you're in a situation that approximates the one that I was in before my no-buy year. You're in a situation that's the one that I wanted to rescue myself from with my no-buy year. And it worked really, really well for me, so it might be the answer for you. But here's the thing, and here's the nub of this video. In theory, a budget would be the antidote to all of those things. In theory, if you answered yes to all 8 of those questions, a resounding yes, then there would be no reason why I shouldn't prescribe a budget, because sticking to a really clear budget for beautiful things or a budget for the things that you compulsively buy would solve it all. It would. But here's the catch. Back when I would have answered yes to all of those questions, back before my no-buy year, I was totally incapable of sticking to a budget for beautiful things. I tried to budget so many times and I always broke it. Before my no-buy year, I was so messed up and my buying behaviors were so out of control that moderation, which is by definition a type of control, was simply not within my grasp. A cold turkey no-buy was dramatic and clear cut. It was either intact or it wasn't. And its strictness was its magic for me. A budget at that time would have involved mighty muscles of moderation, and I had no muscles. I was all flab in the moderation department. I was strong enough to do a no-buy, but I was not strong enough to budget. So I'm adding another question to the should you do a no-buy year checklist, a 9th question. Have you tried to enact a budget for the categories on which you habitually overspend and broken your budget time and time again? If so, then neither one of us has any reason to think that trying to budget is going to be the medicine you need. For habitual overspenders, budgeting, my friends, is harder than not shopping. A no-buy year is no joke, and it's not for everyone. If you are someone whose shopping habits need rehabilitation, then what I believe is that you should budget if you can. If you can set yourself a monthly budget for the things that you like to buy and then stick to it without breaking it at all. No stretching, no altering, no exceptions. If you can do that, then by all means, go with a budget. But if you can't stick to it, then I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but you might need a no-buy first to build those muscles of restraint that you can then use to healthily and successfully budget for the rest of your life after that. It did occur to me that if a no-buy year seems too long, then maybe some combination could work. So I've been thinking about the idea, not for myself, but I've been thinking about the idea for people who have this question, like should I budget or do a no-buy? The idea of doing something like going on a 2-month no-buy and then having a budget for March, and then back on a 2-month no-buy and then a budget for 1 month, something like that could work for you if a full-on no-buy year seems like too much. And you could even instate rules for yourself, like if you go over your March budget, the allotment that you set for yourself to spend in that 1 month, then the ensuing no-buy has to last 4 months instead of 2 more months or something like that. Some combination. Another way to do it might be to say that you're going to budget, like you think you can stick to it, but then tell yourself that if you break your budget, then you immediately have to go on a no-buy for the rest of the year. So you know that you have that fail-safe there, and that if it turns out that you're one of those people who doesn't have strong enough muscles yet for pure budgeting, that you will default to a no-buy and do that work and then get yourself set up to successfully budget in the future. Or if that sounds too harsh, you could give yourself a monthly budget, but if you break your budget, then you have to go on a no-buy for the following month instead of having your budget for the following month and then start again the month after that with your budget. I don't know. Let me know. Let me know if any of that sounds good. If any of you decide on some kind of hybrid project that marries a budget to a no-buy, I would be really interested to hear about that. The takeaway from this video, if you haven't gathered it already, is that budgeting seems like the easier or softer option. Maybe seems like a cop-out. But in my experience, for a compulsive spender, being faithful to a budget is much, much harder than ceasing to spend at all. If you've really got it bad, set yourself up for success with a no-buy, rather than setting yourself up for failure with a budget that you know that you will break. If you've just got a mild case of the overspendings, however, a budget might be just what you need. And budgeting has changed my life. After my no-buy year gave me the tools to be able to budget. So I think budgeting is amazing, and I do highly recommend it to those of you who have it within your grasp. That is it. Please let me know down below if you are doing some kind of 2020 project, whether it is the aforementioned hybrid no-buy year budget or a full-on no-buy year or a full-on beauty budget. I always love hearing the specifics of the projects that you guys are doing. I've been getting a bunch of DMs lately and even some emails about no-buy year projects for next year. I can't respond to all of them right now. It's partly just the month that I'm having and the volume of them, but please know that I do see them and they do warm the cockles of my heart. I'm going to try to go through and respond to as many as I can, but if I don't get to you, it's not because I don't care about you or because I'm not grateful that you sent your message. I love, love, love hearing from you guys, and I love, love, love hearing about your projects. So in this comment section down below, even if you sent me a private message, let's hear it. Share it with everyone. I want to know about y'all's projects. And I really, really appreciate you for watching this video. And don't forget to take extra good care of yourself in the coming weeks as we round out this year so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work